Going to be talking about some ways that you can set up your own lighting studio at home. So here are the things you're going to need this week. Most of these things you can get at Walmart, or maybe you need to run to Lowe's, but I think most of this you either have around the house or you can get at Walmart. You're going to need some clamp lights, like the kind that have a little, sometimes they call them pie tins. They have like the little aluminum backing where you screw a bulb into it, and then it has a little clamper on it that you can, use it to hold it onto a chair or something. You're going to need some bulbs. The brighter the better. Any kind of clips that you can use, extension cords. You need a shower curtain or a sheet, but shower curtains work really well for this. They need to be frosted. The reason for this is because the light will pass through it and become very diffused, and you need like an old sheet of some kind. You also need a roll of white paper. You can get this in the craft section at Walmart. Things that you probably have around the house: clothespins, aluminum foil. You're going to need to get some foam board. This is also something that you can buy at Walmart, but you can also get it at Hobby Lobby. And you need either silver or gold spray paint. You can do both. You can paint one side silver and one side gold if you want. That would be kind of fun. But if you only buy one, get the gold. And then you'll need tape or push pins. So let's first of all talk about the difference between hard light and diffused light. Light quality is really what this week's assignment is going to be about. And I wanted you to look at the pictures, the picture on the left and the second picture over, to see what a huge difference there is. The sun is extremely harsh in the first picture. You can see it's coming in from the right and it's casting very strong dark shadows. It's very unflattering, and it's not really even giving us a whole lot of information about what her face looks like. When they put a diffuser between the subject and the sun, the light was able to pass through the diffuser, but what a huge difference. You now have this kind of soft glowing light that doesn't that doesn't have any harsh shadows, and it's much more flattering, and it gives us a whole lot more information about the subject. Same thing here in the picture of the wood. The harsh light is actually probably the better picture, because we need that contrast. One thing like diffused light does is it does take away contrast, and that's not always something that we want to do. You want high contrast if you're looking at a lot of geometric objects like this, but you really want a lot less contrast when you're working with a human subject. So I think you can kind of look at these pictures and see why. Okay, so how do we diffuse light without spending a whole lot of money? Now, I will just go ahead and put it out there for those of you who have the budget for it. You can go to B&H Photo and buy light diffusers and light boxes and all kinds of wonderful things from a very broad range of prices. But I'm trying to set this up so that you can do this on the budget of your standard student, which is virtually nothing, right? We all have been there. Ways to diffuse light then with things that you can buy cheaply or have around your home. You can place between your light source and your subject white fabric, that frosted shower curtain I was talking about. You can even use a sheet of regular printer paper, white t-shirt material, parchment paper if you have that. You can hang a sheet of fabric from the ceiling and then place your light source behind it. Shine the light source through that piece of fabric onto your subject. Sunlight coming through the window with a lacy curtain hanging in front of it is often a very nice diffuse. A lot of us have on our curtains, what are they called? They're shears. That's what they're called. Those sheer curtains that a lot of people have, those diffuse the light. That's one of the reasons we have them is to diffuse the light. But it's a great way to, if you've got like really strong light coming in through the window, hang that frosted shower curtain in front of it and get some beautiful diffused light. There's a video, a DIY video in this week's folder for you to watch that shows how you can stretch your fabric across a frame made of a foam board if you're really wanting to get into that. You don't have to do that, but you certainly can. And another thing you can do is you can actually place your light bulb in a clamp light and then use either large rubber bands or clothespins or spring clips to clip a piece of paper or a piece of fabric to the clamp light. You just have to be careful. If you have one of the newer LED bulbs, you won't have to worry about heat. But if you have like the old-fashioned kind of light bulb, it can singe or even catch on fire your fabric or your paper. But that really shouldn't be a problem if you just get the the LED type bulb. So let's talk about backlighting. I'm usually telling everybody never shoot directly into the sun. If you shoot directly into the sun, all you're going to get is a silhouette, but that's sometimes what you want. So backlighting involves placing your subject in, you're shooting towards your light source with your subject in between the camera and the light source. And what it really emphasizes is the silhouette. You don't have any detail. Or very little detail in your subject. What you have is the silhouette. So you need to have, a nice background that you want the subject silhouetted up against. Some backlighting tips: always shooting in the direction of the sun. I will say this every single day until the end of the semester. Go during the golden hour when the sun is low in the sky, okay? Or early in the morning or towards dusk, right before dusk. Find a place where the light source is hidden. Maybe there's like a tree or something in front of the sun, and it'll create some nice kind of rays will shoot out from it. Use on your camera, use spot metering so that your camera is reading your subject for exposure, not the sky, not the background. Use a dark background if possible, and if you want to get a little bit of light on your subject, you may need to use a flash. A lot of times you can force your flash to work while you're shooting into the sun, and it will fill in the shadows on your subject. Reflected light is something that a lot of professional photographers do to fill in the kind of unflattering shadows that happen on your subject's face. It's a way of, indirect light is always going to create softer highlights than direct light, and so it's a way to take light from one source, bounce it off of a reflective surface and onto your subject. And so a lot of times professional photographers, portrait photographers, will have their subject actually hold a reflector. It's always best if you have an assistant, but you can also have your subject hold the reflector, and it'll fill in a lot of those shadows that are underneath. Okay, ways to reflect light. You can just use plain white foam board. You can buy this at Walmart for just a couple of bucks. But even better if you spray that foam board with silver or gold spray paint. Particularly the gold spray paint, it makes these lovely warm golden tones that are super flattering. So I'm going to strongly encourage you to try that. And so what you do is you shine your light source onto the subject and hold the white or metallic reflective board on the subject's shadowed side, and then it's going to bounce back and fill in those shadows. So you have to kind of play around with the angle a little bit to see what it looks like. Take some practice shots and get the angle just right. You're trying to do this without having a glare. Okay, one thing you're going to do this week is product photography. So you're going to take an object, something that maybe you want to have a commercial look, something that you might want to sell, and you're going to photograph it in front of a pure white background, and your goal is going to be to not have any harsh shadows. You're going to have an even lighting, even diffused light, and no harsh shadows. Okay, and this is how they do this. So what they do, and this is how you're going to set up your tabletop product photography. This is basically what they always do when they're shooting. Whenever you see in a commercial when somebody is in front of like this pure white background, and it looks like they're just kind of floating in empty space, or maybe there's an object that just seems like it's floating in a big white void. What they do is they've got a white piece of paper that is tacked to the wall. I want you to see, this is very important here. You tack a piece of paper to the wall and you just drape it onto the tabletop. You need to get a roll of craft paper that you can find at Walmart. They have it at Hobby Lobby and Michael's as well. But if you're wanting to be one-stop shopping, just go to Walmart. It's very inexpensive. You can't use 2 sheets of foam board for this. Why? Because you'll have a line right there, and you don't want that. You want to have just this graceful swooping curve coming off the wall onto the tabletop, and then you can put your object, your product, whatever it is. Set up your shot so that you can see right here. You don't see any seams. You don't see anything in the background other than white paper. Definitely use a tripod. Get down low. Don't angle your camera down on the product. Look straight forward, straight ahead at it. And use aperture priority. And angle your lights. Have 2 lights angled using your clamp lights at 45 degrees. And it looks a lot better if you go ahead and diffuse that light, if you go ahead and put something over your clamp light. Okay, so in summary, you can create your own DIY lighting studio without spending very much money at all. Just run on down to Walmart. I think you can get everything you need at Walmart, and if for some reason you can't, there's always Lowe's and Hobby Lobby.